Hello, everyone, and welcome into today's live, where we're going to be discussing quantum shifting fast, using the power of deep gratitude and bliss to elevate your frequency, shift your vibration, and quantum leap and shifting fast. If you're new here, my name is Tamie M Joyce. I am a life and business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs. I am best known for my work historically as a life coach specializing in codependency and narcissistic abuse healing and recovery. So that is still very much the life coaching piece of the lane that I am in, but I have recently expanded my offerings and the work that I do to be much more inclusive of success and mindset mentorship. So do me a favor and drop me a comment in the comment section and let me know where you are tuning in from. I see we have Tracy here in Pensacola, Florida. Looking forward to this. Glad to have you with us. So who else do we have on? We'll just give it a moment for folks to hop on and join us. Let me know where you're coming in from. Stephanie from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Nice to have you here with us. Welcome in, welcome in. All right, so we also have Roller Girl from Las Vegas, Nevada. Nice. And Cheryl Ann from the City of Angels, LA. Nice. Nice, nice. All right. Welcome in, everyone. So the manifesting power of deep gratitude. I almost forgot. Any Canadians tuning in? Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day to my Canadian friends. Okay, so with that aside, having not forgotten that close, it's a holiday in Canada. It's a national holiday in Canada. So to my Canadian friends, hope you're safe and having a blast. Now, the manifesting power of deep gratitude. So what many people don't realize is how powerful we truly are when it comes to consciously co-creating our reality. And all of that begins with our internal world. And if you've been tuning into me for any length of time, you've heard me say before, when we're talking about our internal reality, only 3% of the game of life is conscious, 97% or more of the game of life is subconscious. But that 3% that is conscious, if we take the conscious reins, as opposed to allowing it to just run amok on unconscious autopilot, it has a profound impact on what it is that's going on with us subconsciously. And in taking those reins, consciously choosing our thoughts, the beliefs that we hold through consciously choosing our thoughts on repeat, repetition, right? The power of repetition. And therefore shifting our emotional state. And I mean this in a holistic way, in an organic way, this is never about denial and putting a thick coat of pink paint over a pile of manure and calling the pile of manure something it's not. I am never coming from that place. Denial is a really good way to stay sick in your life for a long time. So we always want to be standing in the truth. And sometimes we're walking our way out of denial, and that's a journey, right? So, layers of denial are dismantled as we do our shadow work, as we do our healing and recovery work. And that's fine. We don't want to, hurt ourselves unnecessarily. Denial can be, a way in which we have protected ourselves from some very painful and harsh truths and realities. So the point I'm getting at is what I'm discussing today is never about deliberately, consciously choosing denial, choosing to be in denial of the truth of what I am living, the truth of what I have lived, the reality of the situation. It is the art of managing standing in the truth, not denial, but the truth, not codependent amnesia, but the truth, while simultaneously consciously choosing the thoughts, which impacts the beliefs. So the thoughts that I have, that I think on repeat, create the beliefs that I hold, that I embody, imprint my subconscious. I can consciously choose those thoughts and therefore those beliefs, as well as the feelings with which I calibrate, the frequency that I hold, my embodiment, my calibration, my energetic frequency. So emotion, energy in motion. So what many people don't realize is that by focusing on what it is that we can feel gratitude for, and then really turning the volume up on that by choosing deep, deep gratitude, we can actually shift our reality, and faster than you might think possible. So I'm going to give you some examples from my own life of how this has worked, some real fun and cool examples of things that have taken place in my life, even just recently in the last few months. But what I want to impress upon you is, many of us, when the subject of gratitude comes up, will think, well, I'm a grateful person. If someone holds the door open for me, I say thank you. When I'm being served in a restaurant, I say please and thank you. If someone gives me a gift, I say thank you. I'm a grateful person. And what that is not the gratitude that I'm talking about today. What that is good manners. That means you have good manners. And that's good. We want to have good manners. We want to be polite and agreeable within reason, right? Agreeable where it is appropriate to be agreeable, and kind and polite. So we want to have good manners. That's not the gratitude I'm talking about. The gratitude I'm talking about is consciously choosing to focus on what I can be grateful for, as opposed to what isn't working, what I don't have, where there is lack, where I may have fallen short, where the things or the people or the humans or the whatever may not be showing up in the way that I desire yet, right? We are programmed, we are trained for our focus to be on the lack, on the scarcity, on what is missing, as opposed to on the abundance of things that we can be grateful for. Now, if you're someone who is in the midst of an emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and potentially otherwise abusive relationship, this is going to be challenging for you, but not impossible. So again, this is not about denial. If you're someone who is in the process of being targeted by harmful, destructive, toxic, highly manipulative, deceptive people, you absolutely need to be telling yourself the truth about that. You need to be telling yourself the truth. And then doing whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself in terms of your own personal healing and recovery work, what you need to do to extricate yourself from the toxic dynamics, and so on and so on, right? So you definitely, that's the standing in the truth piece. But while you are standing in the truth, you can still exercise the power of deep gratitude. I'm talking about looking for and finding pockets of bliss in your life, and doing this consciously and deliberately so that you can shift your attraction set point, so that you can contribute to the calming of your nervous system, getting out of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, not by slipping into denial or codependent amnesia. That doesn't work. We only get more sick doing that. So standing in the truth while seeking opportunities to focus on pockets of bliss, places where I can muster the feelings of gratitude. And it might be that I have Wi-Fi and a device so I can tune into a video like this, or a channel like mine with 370 plus videos that you can binge watch to help support you, help you understand what's going on in your life, and offer you some solutions that actually work. That might be the thing that you're grateful for in the midst of what you're standing in. It might be that you have the eyes to see, the ears to listen. You know, if we have a roof over our head and a clean bed to sleep in at night and running water in the house, we're better off than a large percentage of the population on this planet. So there's, if you're tuning into this, likely always something to be grateful for, no matter where you stand and what's going on. And I repeat, repetition is important. Never in the spirit of denial. Always standing on the firm foundation of truth and choosing, yes, I have these things to deal with. Yes, I have this going on in my life and I'm going to have to do something about it. Yes, I'm running these patterns on subconscious autopilot of attracting one toxic, destructive narcissist after another. That may be your reality right now. And yes, these are the things that I can exercise deep gratitude for. Again, looking for pockets of bliss. So last week, I can't remember exactly how it came up, but drop me a comment first of all, and let me know whether or not any of this is resonating with you. Let me know. So I can't remember exactly how it came up. Actually, yeah, now I do. Someone asked about sociopathy, and anyway, I went off on a tangent. So I introduced this scale of consciousness. So this is based on the work of David Hawkins. There's a really powerful book I think every human on the planet needs to read called Power versus Force, in terms of understanding our innate divine power, in terms of using our consciousness consciously and effectively, directing it, right? But this is fundamentally the human experience here. And we could, sum it up to this being anti-life, right? Very dense. Calibrations of 20. Manipulation is 50. You got a manipulator in your life, just so you know, for those manipulators out there tuning in, this is where you calibrate. That's where manipulation calibrates. So this is fundamentally anti-life, and this is enlightenment. And everything in between is the human experience, right? Now, gratitude, we have, where are we here? Gratitude is here on the spectrum. So when we are focused on lack and what I don't have and what isn't working, our focus is down here, which is dragging our frequency, our calibration down here. No matter what's going on in our life, if we are taking time in our day to concentrate, to focus on, to contemplate gratitude, we automatically begin to shift and raise our frequency. Much lighter, better feelings, right? To this zone here. And this here is where we start to enter the power zone in terms of what we're able to consciously co-create, manifest in our reality. So as human beings, we're going to run the spectrum. I'm not going to tell you that I never dip down into anger or shame or guilt, right? I don't reside there anymore like it's a full-time job like I did historically, pre-healing and recovery. I certainly don't reside there anymore. It's not my predominant attraction set point, but we're all having the human experience, and we're going to, move up and down the scale of consciousness. The goal is to be consciously choosing your thoughts and therefore your beliefs and your feelings to where you are predominantly residing up in this zone. And when you can develop the muscle, this skill set, the mental habits, patterns, rewiring your neural net, and you are predominantly residing up here, your entire reality will change. When you are predominantly residing down here, you are going to continue to get more of the same. Now, for me to really be able to go from where I was, having been fully scapegoated in a very sick, dysfunctional family system, I've discussed on this channel, and even recently, some of what that was like, and many of you can relate to that. So for me to get to a place where I know, because this can actually be measured, as I discussed last week, I know I calibrate predominantly up here, my overall soul frequency, and where I calibrate in relation to many aspects of my life. But to go from this to this, I actually had to do some healing and recovery work. I had to face my history. I had to go near the old owies, the wounding, the trauma, excavate that stuff, feel it so I could heal it and be free of it permanently. For many of us, that's necessary. And while we do that work along the path, we can choose gratitude and continue to exercise that muscle and shift where we calibrate. And again, our attraction set point. So what this does is it opens up your field. Everything is energy, including us and our thoughts. Thoughts are things that affect other things, including us and our beliefs and our feelings. Everything is energy. So when I am consciously choosing deep gratitude and bliss, I'm opening up my field. I'm raising my frequency, and I am shifting what I am a magnetic match to. When I'm calibrating down here, I'm a match to more of this. More pain, more shame, more chaos, more drama, more things that make me angry and frustrated and feeling hurt and rejected and abandoned and neglected and misunderstood and misrepresented. And, this is this zone, right? Attracting toxic emotional manipulators, people who feel entitled to lie and deceive, lie to you, lie about you. That's their zone. That's their frequency. When I shift and I abide up here, these experiences, people, places, and things don't even have access. Can't get through. We're on completely different dimensions, like on a completely different timeline, completely different plane. To get there, there may very well be some work that needs to be done along the way, and that is the work of consciousness, our healing and recovery, our growth and development, our daily spiritual practices, our daily mindset work, consciously choosing where I'm going to put my focus. So let me see if I missed anything here. Yeah, what this does is it opens us up for magic and miracles. So I'll give you an example. I've got countless examples from my own life. Countless examples. Let me know if you have any examples from your life when you consciously chose to abide in the frequency of gratitude, and that had a direct impact on your external reality. So a fun example, just something that happened in recent months, was we had an unexpected 36,000 Canadian dollar bill that we were having to deal with. No fun. Basically, my husband bought not a new truck, not an old truck. It's just a few years old, but it was no longer under warranty. A beautiful, perfect for him diesel truck. And after driving it for a period of time, the engine went. And it turned out that he bought a truck that someone had put gas in the diesel engine. And then they did whatever they needed to do to be able to pawn it off and sell it off. My husband was the unlucky guy who walked onto the lot and purchased it. And then at a certain period of time, the engine went. So we had to replace the engine in this truck. So it was a $36,000 bill that we were not anticipating. Nobody enjoys that. Simultaneous to all of this going on, we had to wait a few months for the truck to even be serviced, because all of the Amazon trucks were being serviced. So Ford had to deal with Amazon before they could even get to my husband's truck. So we were a couple, 2.5 months, I think it was, waiting for this to be dealt with. Fortunately, we have a couple of vehicles of this nature, so we were okay in that regard. But anyway, simultaneous to this, I was in a program with my mentor where the conversation was on abiding in a place of deep gratitude. Now, I'm someone who has been practicing deep gratitude for a long time. I'm going to share with you some of my practices. I've experienced the impact of it on my life, but she came at it from a different angle than what I had heard before. And basically, it was really cranking up the volume instead of, thank you, thank you, thank you, which the moment I do that, I feel the shift in my body. Try that. Hand on heart, hand on tummy, close your eyes, take a breath. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You feel the shift in your body. My mentor took it to another level. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Tell me whether or not you feel that shift in your body. So as we dove into this whole concept of gratitude at that level where you are really going deep, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Can you feel the shift of that? I certainly can. Some of us are more sensitive to energy than others. I feel that shift right away. So as a result of this, while we were waiting for the truck to get sorted, I was walking around all the livelong day practicing, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Just in general. Yes, thank you. Not necessarily directed at anything specifically, just yes, thank you. 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 Yes. And really feeling it all the way to my toes. And anytime the thought of our up and coming 36,000 Canadian dollar bill would come to mind, I would just said to myself with calm, it's sorted, it's handled. Now we knew we were going to pay it, but I just had this detached calm, it's sorted. And I just would let it, I didn't dwell on it. I wasn't angry, frustrated, bitter, resentful. It's handled. It's handled. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. And then that thought would come, it's handled. Yes, thank you. And I don't know how long that was going on for. I'm going to say probably a few weeks. And then the week that we were meant to be picking up the truck and paying the bill was a Wednesday. That Sunday before, $22,000 fell out of the sky. US dollars fell out of the sky and into my lap out of nowhere. I could never have predicted this happening. I fundamentally manifested. I was in a program where a prosperity program, and there were 400 to 500 names in a hat, and my name was the one that got pulled. And I manifested 22,000 US dollars, which was 31,000 Canadian dollars, $5,000 short. But the lion's share of what we needed to pay for the new engine, the new motor, new engine in my husband's diesel truck just fell out of the ether and into my lap 4 days before we were going to pick it up. So I've got a long list of stories like that. I can tell you that's one that's fun because it's very recent. And to me, it speaks to the magical power of deep gratitude. Now, with that, remember, I was really detached. I was feeling gratitude for the sake of feeling gratitude. not because I was actively trying to control or manipulate or, any specific kind of outcome. What I needed resolved, I just decided was resolved. And I held that frequency with certainty and detachment, with calm faith and detachment. While I went about my business, consciously choosing to emanate deep gratitude on a daily basis. My apologies. I just got a call come through on my laptop. So there is an intense, real, magical, miraculous power, manifesting power in deep gratitude. There is that's just coming through again. Now I'm a little bit nervous that it's going to keep happening. I might actually have to deal with that. My apologies. There is an intense, miraculous power in exercising deep gratitude, a manifesting power in exercising deep gratitude on a daily basis, consciously choosing what you can be grateful for. And what I know for sure is, from personal and professional experience, you can practice this no matter where you stand, no matter where you sit today. And it shifts you enough, doesn't necessarily take care of all of the issues or all of the problems or all of the pain, the very real stuff that you have to stand in the truth of and face and heal and deal with. But it can shift your perspective enough and open up that gap to where you're more able to focus on solutions, and you're definitely more able to attract solutions as you come out of this zone and rise into this zone. Now, one of my most favorite ever tools for really developing this muscle is a book by Rhonda Byrne called The Magic. So Rhonda Byrne is the author and creator of the book and the movie The Secret, which came out, I think it was like 2007. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. It is very, in my opinion, very the law of attraction 101. If you're brand new to these concepts, it's helpful. There are mountains of information about the art of manifestation that are missing. It's kindergarten. It is far from complete, but it is a good, and I think in 2007, it was certainly timely and a good introduction to the mainstream, to the masses, of the reality that we are far more powerful than we have been taught. So since then, she's written quite a number of books. And my favorite of all of the books she's written is The Magic, because she literally takes you through 28 days of exercises practicing gratitude, 28 days of gratitude practices. And by the time you get to the end of that 28 days, your relationship to gratitude is radically changed. You have developed the muscle, and you are well on your way to making gratitude a lifestyle. That doesn't mean that you're not a human being having a human experience and you're never gonna feel anger, guilt, shame, or, you're gonna have to feel and deal with the feelings as a human being having a human experience. But you now have the power of gratitude, having developed that muscle. You now have the power of gratitude on your side to help influence in a very positive way the experience that you're having of life. I mean, if nothing else, it is just a much, much more pleasant way to go through your day. It's a much, much more pleasant way to go through life. It makes you a much, much more pleasant person to be around. I'm very happily married to the love of my life. I waited a long time to meet him, and let me tell you, he was worth the wait. And every day I have a choice, because he's a human being and he's not perfect. And for sure, I'm not going to lie, there are things that I would change. And every day I have a choice. And every day I choose to focus on what it is that I am grateful for. And there's a lot. There's a lot. Are there things that I am not grateful for, that I don't like, that are not my preference, that I could focus on instead? Sure. Am I living in denial of those things? No. No. He's a human being. He is not perfect, and he has some character flaws. So I'm not living in denial of those things, but I am choosing to focus on what I am grateful for. Now, I say that, understand, I'm not in an abusive relationship. I'm not recommending that anyone who is in an abusive relationship focus on what you're grateful for while you're being lied to, lied about, scapegoated, cheated on, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually manipulated, tortured, abused, targeted in any way. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when you are in a relatively healthy relationship or friendship or family relationship, whatever the relationship may be, you have the option. I'm not suggesting we lie to ourselves about toxic, abusive people, but with relatively healthy, sane people who actually have empathy and care about us, and vice versa, there's a mutual respect and love and a concern and genuine care for one another's well-being. We still have the choice to focus on what's not perfect, what we don't like, what we can pick on, what we think is a shortcoming, or we can amplify what it is that actually drew us into the relationship to begin with. Focus on those things, expand those things. Again, not only is it a much more pleasant way to go through life, it makes us a much more pleasant person to be around. I know my husband is married to a woman that is a whole lot more pleasant to be around because I choose gratitude on a daily basis, especially where he's concerned, right? So if this is not your practice yet, I highly encourage you to make it a practice. Get your hands on the book, The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. It will give you a really solid foundation. Deliberately choose to turn up the volume. Yes, thank you. 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 And focus on what it is that you can be grateful for. And make it a practice, a lifestyle. And watch what happens. The first time I went through Rhonda's the Magic, her book, The Magic, I had miraculous things happening. It was wild. I was barely at the 28 days, and I had a mentor who was a great gift in many ways at a certain point in my life, but he was also very narcissistic and quite abusive. And he's just toxic. It was who he was, where he came from. He grew up with my father and my uncles, and they were not nice people. They had grown up in a very, very tough environment, poverty-stricken Montreal, Quebec, Canada, the 60s. It was, these were not nice people. And he was doing the best that he could with the resources he had. He became quite successful. And he ultimately became my mentor because of the connection to my dad. He became my mentor in my first career. And at a certain point, he got really sour with me, and we went a 10-year period without talking. 10 years. That was hurtful for me because I really loved the man and I really looked up to him at that point in my life. I see it through a different lens today, having the education that I have. But at that point, I really looked up to him, and he did do a lot of good for me in spite of his destructive narcissism. He set me on a path that I'll forever be grateful for. So that said, there was a 10-year period where there was no contact. And I went through Rhonda's book, and one of the miraculous things, the first time, one of the miraculous things that took place was out of the blue, out of nowhere, I got a call from him. where he wanted to offer me a heartfelt apology for the way he had treated me. And could he take me out for dinner, which he did. He picked me up and took me out for a beautiful dinner and a beautiful evening. And, and we had an amazing conversation and a real heartfelt apology. And to some degree, walking out a living amends to a certain point. His destructive narcissism eventually reeled its head and got in the way. And I had enough. And that was the end of that. As I continued on my own healing and recovery journey, and I'm at peace with all of that. But the point I'm making is the miraculous things that can happen in our life. I wasn't expecting that. I would never have in a million years have expected to have gotten that call and be given that gift, right? So when we shift the energy, and we don't do it because we're not trying to manipulate and control others and outcomes and say, like, forget that. Leave that in the hands of the divine and just focus on your locus of control. When we shift the energy with which we calibrate our frequency, when we elevate our own calibration, our external reality has to shift. It has to shift. It will catch up. It's just a function of time. So again, I highly encourage you to put this into practice for yourself. Now, with that said, let's open it up for some Q&A. How are we doing here? I'm going to check the comments. Any questions, comments? Let me know. Did this resonate for you? How did it land? Trisha is saying, I definitely understand this. I love Abraham Hicks. I love Abraham Hicks too. In fact, I would say Ask and It Is Given. They have a number of books, but Ask and It Is Given is probably one of the most important books to read if you want to understand how the law of attraction works. I think it's a foundational book in terms of deepening our understanding in that regard. It's probably on Audible for those of you who prefer an Audible audiobook, but mine is like, I've read that a half a dozen times at least. I had over the years. So I definitely understand. I love Abraham Hicks' descriptions of the energies of gratitude and appreciation. They say that appreciation is at an even higher vibe than gratitude. Yeah. Love and appreciation. Love calibrates. So enlightenment is 500. Enlightenment is 1,000. My apologies. 500 is right here. That's love and appreciation. Love and appreciation right there. Like, we're calibrating really high when we can get ourselves to that place. And if you don't think that will have an effect on your reality, you're deluding yourself. Quantum physics backs that up. If you've never seen the documentary Down the Rabbit Hole, there's a whole box series, but so there's an expanded version. So it's actually the original movie documentary is What the Bleep Do We Know? And then the expanded version came out, I think it was a year later, because there was such a demand for more information, called Down the Rabbit Hole. Blow your mind in terms of quantum physics backing up these concepts and how powerful we actually are to affect change in our reality. Trisha is saying, I am very appreciative and feel deep gratitude to you and your teachings. Thank you. I'm so glad. Stephanie, Tamie, I really needed to hear this today and it touched my soul. 144 timestamp. Cool. Very cool. Very, very cool, Stephanie. Shannon, expressing gratitude has been a game changer, but having just tried the yes, thank you for the first time, I feel it even more intensely. Yes, thank you, Tamie. Yeah, I know, right? It's all about amplifying the feeling. Like, the feeling is our attraction set point. So, like when we talk about affirmations, people will say, well, I've done affirmations, they don't work. Yeah, but are you just repeating them in your head on repeat without giving them really a whole lot of thought and energy, because it's not about robotically repeating a statement. It's about utilizing an affirmation, a statement, a phrase to shift the vision that you have in your head and the feelings that you feel in your body around any particular subject. And you don't want to be affirming things that are so far removed that your whole body is screaming, liar, liar, pants on fire. You want to reel it in to where you can get your energy behind it. I can back that with my energy. And when I use the affirmation to shift the vision in my head, the picture that I hold and the feelings that I carry, the feelings that I embody, now we're talking. This is how it works. Roller Girl saying, down the rabbit hole, I'll look it up. Thank you. Yeah, the original movie is What the Bleep Do We Know? I would watch that first because it's the original. If you go straight to Down the Rabbit Hole, they're like taking pieces of the original and then they're inserting scientists. They do this. There's scientists speaking in the original movie, but Down the Rabbit Hole is like an extended version. So I would start with What the Bleep Do We Know? And then if you want to go deeper, then go down the rabbit hole. Divorce saying, yes, thank you. I tried and it is great. What the bleep do we know? Yeah. Yes, thank you. 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 Right? And if you can really feel it, like for me, if I can feel tears starting to well up, right? Like I know there's a shift happening. And no matter what's going on in my life, I can shift to a more positive place. Now, I may still, like I said, I may still have things that need to be addressed. It's not about stepping into denial and pretending that a pile of manure isn't a pile of manure. That's never what this is about. But it's about taking the reins of my consciousness and consciously choosing where I abide, where I vibrate, where I calibrate, and then reaping the benefits of that. Dancing with the universe and allowing the miracle to happen, like just be on the lookout for the miracles, big and small, Often we can do the yes, thank you, yes, thank you, yes, thank you for the really big stuff, but can we do it for the small stuff? Can we do it for the little things? Like, the warm cup of deliciousness that I get to enjoy in my comfortable home office with a roof over my head, having been able to sleep in a, amazing clean bed. And I've got a fridge full of food that is the food of my choosing, like for us, like I've got a fridge full of high quality, dense nutrition, clean, organic food that I get to enjoy because that's a value of mine, right? Do I take the time to appreciate the things that we can so easily take for granted? All right, I'm not seeing any questions come in. So I'm just looking at my notes here. Did I forget anything? I jot down some notes because sometimes there's some important points and I can go off on tangents and I don't want to forget the important points for you. Divorce saying, yes, thank you. Like the consciousness that you are not alone. Exactly. Shannon is saying, have you read Idil Ahmed's Manifest Now book? That is not one that I've read. That is not one that I'm familiar with. No. Manifest Now. No. Okay, friends, in case you are unaware, I am launching a new program called RISE, the Aligned Business Incubator. We're actually starting next Wednesday, July 9th, next Wednesday. So if you haven't checked that out yet, I'm going to put a link in the description below the live. You want to have a look at that. This is for anyone who has ever considered getting online and beginning to create the freedom laptop lifestyle for themselves. If it's something that you've always wanted to do, but you don't know where to start, you've got some ideas, you know what it is that you'd like to do, or you've already been on the path, but you'd like to take it to the next level, I'm taking a group of people through a 12-week beta launch container starting next Wednesday. You'll have a year's access to the course content. I'm opening up the back end of my business. I've built, since I launched the Freedom Class in 2018, I came online in 2015 and banged around for a few years learning about social media marketing, digital marketing. I got really serious in end of 2016, 2017. And then in 2018, I launched my first coaching program that has been selling very successfully ever since, changing lives all over the world. So if you've ever thought about creating a service-oriented business for yourself, getting on path, on purpose, and creating a freedom laptop lifestyle for yourself, I'm literally going to be opening up the back end of my office and showing you how I've done it over the course of the last, like the better part of the last decade, really, but, you know, very formally since 2017, 2018. So if that's of interest to you, the link is in the description below this video. We're starting next Wednesday. Our weekly group sessions, like coaching sessions, will be every Wednesday for 12 weeks at 7 p.m. Eastern time, New York time. But for those of you who can't be on live at that time, the replays will be available to you. So have a look at that. If you're interested in working with me in a life coaching capacity, or taking the Freedom Class journey with me, or any of my other programs, all the links are in the description below the live video. So you can either apply for a consultation call or go directly to my website and click on programs and reviews for all the details. So with that said, thank you for showing up and playing full out with me today. Go be grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'll be back on live. We're doing lives regularly Tuesdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see you on Friday. As always, I will leave you with this. Know your value. Know your value and unlock your freedom. Mwah. Much love. Bye for now.